Welcome to the Myself Wellness Podcast. I'm Charles Patti, the voice of Myself Wellness, along with my co-hosts Christina Thomas and Jamie Veneziale. 9 years ago, I began my journey to self-awareness and healing. Like many who have faced personal struggles, I felt lost and struggled to find lasting healing. It wasn't until I discovered alternative healing methods that I began to see a real change in my life. This show will help you unlock your true potential through healthy lifestyle practices and transformations. Join us as we explore personal stories, expert advice, and practical tips to help you step into your true potential and level up. Welcome to the Myself Wellness Podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Myself Wellness Podcast. Today we have Eric, who was one of our amazing clients. He has such a great story to tell, and we're so lucky to have him here today to share his journey with all of you.
So I guess we should start off and kind of just like talk about like what brought you to Myself Wellness and what led up to you starting the treatments.
Well, how I got here, I kind of want to do it in two pieces because it's actually more important to, it's going to come out like after we talk about this, but how I got here is actually more important than what happened in a way, because that's the part, if you never reach here, you're never going to get the help. So I actually backtracked in it, and it took me, I researched this about a year ago, and all because I think I saw a video either on TikTok or YouTube, and it was, I want to say it was one of my readers, Tim Ferriss, went in and did a treatment I think he was overseas, but it was a medical thing. And it just intrigued me because he wasn't going in for a reason. He was going in for research, right? And his was a little different because he kept his eyes open. But the first thing he said when it went in was, "This is amazing. Everybody needs to do this." And that stood out to me. Yeah. And out of all of it, out of his hour-long, whatever it was, that part was the part that stuck to me because I was in a lost chapter in my life. I spun out of control and went through psychiatry. I heard it basically developed through I had a massive amount of fear when I went in and get an MRI. And that was probably, I want to say at least probably 4 years ago or something. I broke my shoulder and I had to do it. So that was my first, quote, trauma moment, which I didn't know what they were until I came here. I didn't know what those moments were. I guess I kind of did. I didn't believe it. Yeah. I didn't believe in any of this stuff. But I was also open-minded enough because I've been on a food journey for so long for health that it's just paralleled right into this. So I meet a friend of mine. I end up not sleeping over the course of probably the last 5 years. It came down to where I was sleeping about 2 hours a night, maybe. And that came to average. You don't recognize it because that time journey of 5 years, you might only be sleeping, it slips into 6 hours a night. And you don't you're like, oh, I had a bad night's sleep. And then next year goes by and you're actually averaging 5. So this insomnia thing of the fear of literally shutting your eyes is what I found out because of that. But whatever triggered it, it didn't matter. So then after a course of that, God leads me in this direction where I meet another guy that randomly came into my shop that knew a guy that came here, Scott.
Yeah.
And he saw me going through what Scott went through. So And by the way, Boone, this guy, he's never done any of this. He just knows that, hey, I remember that guy. He looked like this. Now he looks like this. You look like that. You need to do what he did so you can have what he has. And that's so everything I've read in books is coming to life. Or I shouldn't say, I'm aware of it now. So I'm living the same life I was living. It's just I'm living it in the third person. So I'm communicating right now. But I can picture myself outside this conversation trying to figure out what my part is in it.
Yeah.
And how I can better your life, and your life. That's actually where I'm at now.
So like Dr. Ferber would say, you're watching the movie.
Watching the movie and then the synchronicities at play always, man. I love the domino effect of the way that synchronistically one thing happened that led to another, to the Boone guy coming in and telling him about Scott, and then Scott probably sharing his story with you, which ended up leaving you.
Did you know Scott before?
I did not. I had met him. Actually, Boone said, let's meet for lunch. And he threw it on me a couple times. And when you're living a life, that week, I'd only slept 2.5 hours that week, not that day, that week. So I was to a point where it was just getting out of hand. Obviously, it was way out of hand. So when I met him, I was already ready. Like, I was just meeting him to oblige Boone. I was ready to go. I wanted to go that day. Matter of fact, when I came in, I was like, I'm ready. Just give me a shot now. I don't want to not do this. Yeah. I got to see if this is going to work. So we did what we did. But yes, through that pattern, after you come out of this and you get the clarity and you're aware of things, I just look back and I'm like, that was awesome. That God just set, you're watching all the things that he set up. And I look at it this way. It's like reading the Bible that I did for multiple years. And now I'm understanding it. I didn't even go back into it. Everything that's coming my way, everything I watch on TikTok, on YouTube, anything on TV, whatever you call it, the vibrations or whatever it is, people are moving away from me that are bad, and everything that's coming to me now is good.
I love that.
And unexplainable good, but explainable when you hear about breath work, about meditation that I've never done. Now I actually quit working out. I'm just doing yoga, but it's not even, and trust me, I'm sore, but it's not for that. It's the mind. I got into a ketamine state with him one time since here. First time ever, where I was just focusing and we're looking, and about a minute and a half, I felt like I was in the chair. And the cool thing is, if you've never been in the chair, you don't know that feeling. So you've had glimpses of it. I think everybody's had glimpses of it. Mm-hmm. They just don't know what it is. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like they have no idea you kind of pass it off as something, I don't know what that means. That's impossible. But see, that's the other thing. Impossible is not impossible anymore.
No.
There's nothing impossible anymore.
Yeah.
I have so much more time, and I'm going to try and slow it down. I mean, you guys saw me when I walked in. I don't even want to see a video of what I looked like when I walked in. I was like a zombie. I have the same amount of time that everybody has, but I feel like I have an extra 6 hours a day compared to other random people.
You know, with what you're talking about with like the meditative state, there's studies that have shown like people that are deep meditators, their brain gets into an alpha state, right? And then they took people on ketamine and they monitored their brains, and it actually sends you into the same alpha state as a deep meditator would be in. But because there's neuroplasticity happening, meaning we're like literally reprogramming our minds, it's training you. These treatments are training you to get into these deep meditative states, and it's programming your mind like that. So you can actually bring that like forward with you, kind of like doing the yoga or working with that guy that you were talking about, and then saying, oh man, like I'm in that same kind of state as I was during my treatment. It sent you into an alpha mind or an alpha wave state in your brain, which is really cool.
And and that's part of it. So meeting that guy, just take him, for example, in yoga. It's not just where I'm going in. I've worked out and I got plenty of yoga teachers, just like me, you, and everybody else. This guy, I think I told you when I came in, I had mentioned Dr. Ferber, and I think it was Osho or whatever, the one he studied under. Again, the God Path. Guess who he studied under? Same one. He actually went over there. This is a young kid, younger than you. And he was over there. So again, it's a God moment of, my life is easier now because I'm not making the decisions. They're literally made for me. All I'm doing is just walking a path, and I've got all this time to help and do things for other people now.
This is when they talk about let go and let God. Surrender.
And it's a feeling, because you've heard it your whole life. Do you do it? You think you can? Like a meditative state. Until you're in it, I don't know if I'd have been able to meditate unless I did this, because that put me in the world. And I finally found a picture of what you said when you go in there. I was actually at a restaurant, and I found a picture that was lighting up, and it reminded me, I was focusing on it for like 2 minutes because I felt like I was back there. And it was the vision that when I entered into the state, because it always fell black and then it just falls apart. And I saw a picture of it actually last night, and it was cool. And you can just focus on it, and it'll put you in a good state.
So that would lead me into the question of like, other than that actual visual representation that you saw last night, what were some of the sessions like for you?
The first 3, and like I said before, I feel after 3, I was done. I came in here to sleep. I immediately slept the next day. I slept 6.5 hours the following day. Wow. Now, granted, a woozy from whatever. But for me, it was weird because after about 4 hours, it gave me a boost of energy. I didn't stay home. I didn't do, I was out in my yard. I was home. I was just out and about, but you get this energy. And then when I went to sleep, it was fine. Now the second day, Sunday, I didn't get a lot of sleep. But what I didn't get was the anxiety about not sleeping. The anxiety that gets you out of bed, that just says, just get out of bed. What are you doing? You're forcing yourself to stay in bed. Then from that night on, that was the last time I had a bout with it. Today, I haven't used an alarm clock in over 7 years. Now I got to use an alarm clock. I'm not waking up. So to be in that kind of a state and then generate, once you're obviously not sleep deprived, some people will look at it and go, well, yeah, then now that you're not sleep deprived, that's why you're doing better. No, it has nothing to do with it. I can't explain it. But there is a lighter feeling to your body. And your time spent on things is so maximized. There's just so much to it. Like when we were talking about going, like I could pull out the videos. I'd never journaled before. And then think about this. Now I have shaky hands because when you're you can't do anything. I would have everybody sign everything. So I got away from that. So my excuse used to be, well, you can't journal. You can't write. But what this does is it creates a different path. And I immediately said, but you can press record on your phone and talk into it, which makes journaling easier for me. And you get the inflection so you can read and people can hear what's going on. So that actually was a channel that it's just opened up everything. About every 2 weeks, something happens, and that's when I journal. I pop it on and I go, Star Trek volume, whatever, just joking around saying, hey, this is what we're doing. And it hits. And then to refresh it and feel it again, it's like going back to 7 years old. I feel like in my head, in my body, I'm 7 to 10 years old with the future in front of me, and I'm looking out at it, and you see all this stuff. But the only thing I don't have now is I don't have that 50 years of clutter in my head.
Yeah.
So I have this new adventure, almost like if you said, you know what, man, if I could go back and if I knew then what I know now, what could I do? That's this. That's exactly it. It literally brings you back, wipes everything out. You can start over. Now you can start over and go bad or good. Again, it's your choice. But I would think it's highly impossible to do anything bad after you do a treatment on this. Like I told you, if everybody did one treatment of this, everybody on the planet, there'd be no war.
Yeah.
The next day, there'd be no war. It'd be impossible. That's the way I see it.
100%, man.
So I want to ask you, so you heard about this treatment over a year ago. What happened in that year? Like you heard about how this man had a life-changing experience. Why? And you knew you were going through something. Why did it take you a year to have this therapy, seek it out? Like what was that stopping point? Were you nervous? Were you scared?
I wasn't scared about it. I was nervous because I'd never done anything psychedelic before. So that part was just a fear of, what is it? But then knowing that when you get put out, you understand it when you get put out, if I've had multiple surgeries, you do go into this different world. And I do remember seeing stuff now that we're doing things like this, but not like what we're doing. It's, you get that glimpse and the numb feeling. There's similar things. I hyper focus on things. So when it came to food, my spouse at the time was sick, so you research. And then I just dove into stuff. And then, so you're like, oh, no, carnivore is the way to go, or keto, or this. So I dove into that. With this, it wasn't a fear of it. It's just I didn't think it was going to work, but I had to try it. I didn't know if it was going to work. It was one of those things, if it didn't work, I don't know what else I'm going to do anyway. And I just clicked. So when he said it stopped him from night terrors and it got him to sleep, when Scott said that, I said, that's all I'm coming in here for. But again, that's 1/100th of what I'm getting out of this. Again, it's all biblical. All the Bible is just coming back to me. Everything that I've read, everything I've studied. And by the way, I've studied it. I'm not this Bible belt, I'm a normal person who just wanted to better themselves. And then this path here opens up, I would say this, it's like cracking an egg after you're fit, whatever up till your age, crack that egg, it just spills out, and that now you have access to it. It came back to me. I don't have to remember things. They hit at the right time. whatever I need when I'm going up to this counter or whatever it's for some reason, I don't think it's a coincidence. It's not. It's God literally putting things in my path that I need for that reason, because I'm walking in his light. I'm walking with what he's doing now. So my whole purpose now, before it used to be business. Let's do business, make sure the kids are good. Let's get money. You don't have to focus on money anymore. Money will come to you. Just do the right thing. It's a simple thing. It says it in the Bible all through it. It says it in anybody's Bible, anybody's, whatever they want to pick. Do unto others is a simple rule. You do it, you're going to succeed. Matter of fact, the more you do it, and I say it this way, multiple people have heard me say it, you can't outgive God. So if you want more time, go give somebody your time. You want more money? If you've only got $100, go give somebody 50. See what happens the next day. Watch what happens. Might not be the next day, but within a certain period, you won't be as bad off as you were before.
For sure.
That's pretty much where it's at, but it just opens everything up. And like I said, I've got so much in here. It's just, you're kind of going to have to give me tracks, because it's enhanced everything in my life, every part of my life.
The part of what you just said that I remember specifically is the opening up to multiple ideas of what is possible, in a sense, because at first you look at everything through a very similar 3D lens, where this is all, whatever is around me is all that exists. And that's, for me, it was a very bleak way of looking at things, because I felt like I was stuck in a sense. And then there was this constant feeling of I'm stuck. The second you go through one of those treatments, you see all the possibilities. You see all the things that are possible in the universe, in a sense. And that is what you kind of take with you. At least that's kind of how I felt.
It was and I think one of the bigger fears on my end, that actually, I think it was the second session, because I actually had, in that session, that was the one I was talking, I believe, with my nephew. And he had, went through some tough times. But anyway, he was actually walking me through my fear in that one. And that was part of, I think for me.
Is your nephew with us, or is he?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, he's here. He's up in Tennessee. But the part of that, like right now, I would have normally gotten off track right there, because when you're sleep deprived, you're boom, but you can carry on things. But it was the fear of not coming back. I don't know if you ever got it. So my first session, when I went in there, you get so deep, like when you feel him wrap his arms around you, one, you don't want to go. So it was that fear of not, it was moments I was like, I don't think I'm going to see my kids. I think I'm just here. I am here now. This is my next world. This is where I'm at. And I was okay with it, because again, as soon as you get a glimpse of that fear, all of a sudden this wave of, you feel it. And I think I was even, because I was like, I feel his hands. I felt them on me.
Who's his?
God, Jesus, God, just what 100%. And then I always had these moments when I would try to meditate. I would always picture myself on a rock in an ocean, me and him just hanging out, literally like just this here. And him just saying, it's good. We're going to go to sleep. We're going to do whatever. We're going to make this day good. And that actually happened in there.
I love that, man.
It was a walk so in other words, it's unfamiliar, but for some reason it's so familiar. So the vast space of the darkness, it's vast. It's infinite, but yet you feel it has shape. So you can't see the end of it, but your comfort level is so much better than here. Like, you don't ever want to come out of that. Like, the love you felt is insane. So
it's the security in yourself, in a sense. I feel like,
yeah,
when I went through it, I felt this sense of who I truly was, or what I was connected to. Like Charles talks about, just being we are one. We are connected to everything. We are a source of God. And for at least me, going through this physical death that I experienced, I was able to understand the contents of my soul, and then being able to assess that in real time when you're there. And no matter what scary situation I was in, whether I was like, sometimes it felt like my whole existence was going through like a keyhole.
Yes,
and like
I remember
moving through like a keyhole. And most of the time, if I was in that situation now, I'd be terrified. Or before the treatments, I'd be terrified of even the idea of that. Now, because I feel this comfort with who my soul is, I can slide in and out of those uncomfortable situations in the treatment. And then I've just been able to take that and be like, okay, it's all just kind of a figment of our imagination. Like, skydiving, all that type of stuff that I've done since then, it's like, it wasn't as terrifying as I thought it was. It's just a change of state.
You know, it's kind of funny because like this reoccurring thing that keeps happening for people is we talk about this rebirth, like this rebirth experience where it's we think we've moved on and we're okay with it. And then all of a sudden we have this kind of like otherworldly divine experience where we're in the presence of God, or, you know, like, or, you know, people say they're sitting with Jesus during their treatments, or angels and things like that. And you think that, okay, I'm okay with it because I know I'm safe because I'm in the presence of divinity, and it gives you this burning bush experience. And then all of a sudden you're back in the chair and you're like literally reborn again. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm alive again. And now
back with less baggage,
less fear, because
Reborn is key though.
100%.
That's what our logo means too. It means rebirth.
It's an ancient symbol of rebirth.
And that's good because again, everything that's appearing, and that's not just the Bible, out of all the books, like all these books that I've read over the years, like I've tried, I was telling a couple of my friends, you know, when you act 20, 30 years, you know, I'm in the sales business type thing, you know, you got to be sales. So you're, you know, How to Win Friends, Influence People, all these books you got to read, you know, the Dale Carnegie's, all that came back to me. So that when people say, you know, you don't know what it is until you're born again, this is born again. Like I told you, it's a glimpse of heaven. I would come in here and I literally got 6 doses of God's love for 45 minutes a shot. He would literally just wrap himself in me, tell me he loves me for 6 sessions. I was definitely born again on it, for sure. It gives you a glimpse into heaven. It gives you a glimpse to, you can't understand how you can, like when it says you're not going to see me, all these things, like the burning bush, you're not going to comprehend. Well, when you go in here, you do comprehend because you don't have a body, but yet you still feel body, but you don't have a body. And that thing you're talking about with the hole, that was, I think it was my 2nd or 3rd session, and it was everything just crumbling apart and you're just funneling down this hole. And the fear of that for me, I think, was after registering it was, you know, I try to be a provider and take care of people. So my fear was when I'm gone, who's going to take care of you? Who's going to take care of you? I put myself on this huge pedestal, like God, like I'm going to take care of you. I'm not going to take care of you. God's got this. I need to let go and just enjoy the life. I'm not here to do that. Now I'm here to help and facilitate for sure. That's what I do. But just because I'm gone doesn't mean the world's going to end. And not having a body and being in that presence was amazing, because now it took me from the belief and faith of heaven to knowing. I know what I know.
We were at dinner with a bunch of guys that we were doing business with probably about like a year and a half ago. And one of the guys, I was talking about God and my Jesus experience on different compounds and stuff like that. And one of the guys looks at me and he's like, so you're a believer? And I was like, no. I said, I'm a knower. And it's like, because I always believed in something greater than me. And but I really was always one of those, like, I got to see it to believe it kind of guys at the same time. Like, I really did believe, but like, there was still that like, oh, you know, maybe, you know, like who knows what the truth is. And then all of a sudden you see it and you're like, I know now. And it gives you this level of confidence to move the way that, like, to move with faith in life and know that there's a higher power or God is taking care of you, and that like, you don't have to be scared. I mean, and there's still going to be tests and tribulations and tests of faith, but the trials and tribulations are actually just learning experiences that end up leveling us up. And so it's like, you know, we just went through a massive storm, and the thing is that like, I was confident the whole time, but it was definitely it was like one of those dark nights of the soul, for entrepreneurial dark nights of the soul, when I'm just like, all right, God, like, I know you're real, so I know you got my back here, but I could really use a miracle. And it got to the point where like, I finally was sitting there and I'm saying that, and I'm in my car, because what had happened is like our marketing accounts got shut down
for 6 weeks. Not a short amount of time.
And so it was like, it was scary because that's a huge chunk of our business. And I literally was in the car after like 6 weeks of being faithful. Cause like, I'm like, it's all going to work out. God's in control. I'm sitting in the car outside Publix over here. And I'm like, all right, hey God, I really could use a miracle right now. And I know you got my back. And I'm like, I trust you, but I need a miracle. And an hour later, I look down and I get a text on my phone. And the guy who's the CEO and owner of the founder of our marketing company, he sends me a text and it goes, do you believe in miracles? He said, because all of your accounts are active again. So literally after an hour of me doing that in the car, an hour later, I get that synchronicity. It's that wink from God, like, hey, just testing your faith a little bit, man. But, you obviously knew that I was in control and you asked for a miracle and here you are.
Absolutely. And that's, like you said, that's the difference between knowing. So when you're there, like with the belief part, I believe just like everybody else. And it does, the other click to this too, especially in today's world where everyone has to accept everything, or supposedly, it also transformed everything to, I don't care what man thinks about anything anymore. I don't care what you call your religion. I just know there's one God. That's all it is. You can call him whatever you want. Doesn't matter to me.
Yes.
But when you meet him and you see it, and then you see to me, I got to witness all three. So the Holy Spirit, Jesus, and God got to witness them all, and to feel the difference. So the Holy Spirit's sitting there nudging you just like he's supposed to. You read it and he's like, well, use it for this and use this for this. And I'm just walking through it and here we go. But you feel it. Again, it's a presence. You don't know what it is, but yet you know, because your comfort level, it's less trying now. I'm living a life of action. So just like you would say, belief is not seeing. When you do this, it's action. Like you see the belief. It's right there. And it just so happens, like you were saying, it's very similar for everybody, the path that they're going on. But I've told multiple people, I think it was I sold Amway back in the 80s. Any network marketing company, you could basically put it up against. And one of the things I would tell people is, let's say Mona Via, I think it was in that, this will cure all your problems. Remember, it was a big kick. It will do this, it'll do that. So I used to say, look, it doesn't matter if it's expensive, if it's $100 or $500. But if I told you to give me $500 a month and put your finger on that for 10 seconds, but you have to come here every month at this day, and all your problems are going to be gone. Would you do it? Of course everybody would. But then they're like, yeah, no. The difference is when you touch it, you feel it. So when you come here, you can feel it. So you're not going off of where somebody's prescribing you a medicine that says, hey, this is going to take care of your anxiety. Just wait. No, come in, sit down, get rid of your anxiety when you leave. It's that powerful.
I love that.
It's immediate. So this is an action. This is not talking. The world talks. That's why it's going to be hard for people to understand this. So the world just talks and they have to flock along with everything. You get the few stragglers. But I'm telling you, it's impossible for this not to take off, because I can't imagine it not helping one person. And then they don't understand it. I'm also not a person that I could care less if, like when you guys were saying about some of the negative things to this, I didn't know about any of it. And even if I did, I'd still do it because I was at that wit's end. You're either going to choose to live or not. It's one way or the other.
Yeah.
That's where I was at.
People go to church to praise God and to show their faith. And the thing is that like I was raised Catholic and I went to church a lot throughout my life when I was younger. And then I got to more of the place where it's like, well, listen, it's what I do the other 6 days of the week, which really shows hey, like what kind of a believer, like putting action behind it, because anybody can behave one day a week kind of thing, right?
For an hour, of course.
For sure. But the thing is that it wasn't until I dove into like psychedelic medicines where I met God. I was like, oh my gosh, like what? So like I just had a religious experience, or a psycho-spiritual religious experience where I was in the presence of God. And this is like, goes to why people have plant medicine churches and things like that, or these psychedelic 100%. Churches. And people think that it's just a way to supersede government laws and get around the books so they don't get in trouble for taking drugs. But it's not that at all. These compounds are literally giving people divine experiences, which I have, like, I haven't really heard of people having them other ways. I mean, every once in a while you'll hear a story where somebody has a near-death experience and they met Jesus or something like that. But to see it,
I still think it's because of ketamine in the operating room. I know
do too.
Katie
I do
doesn't think
too.
that.
No, I would actually agree with you 100%.
No, listen, and that's the truth. It's like they were giving people like a lot, ketamine for these surgeries and stuff, and they were having these, God experiences. And that's actually why, see, they used ketamine on adults a lot for a while, but people were having these like, religious or out of body experiences, and it was throwing them.
Experience.
Yeah, or then they was throwing them for a loop. But they still use it on children a lot because children can have very magical experiences and it doesn't throw them for such a loop. There's a video I think I was showing you guys the other day, and there was this little girl, and she was probably like, 8 or 9, maybe 10 years old at the oldest.
I saw that.
Yeah, I showed it to you. Yeah.
Yes.
And so she's sitting there and she broke her arm or whatever.
That's exactly it.
They have her on ketamine. She's in the emergency room and she's telling she's
having a conversation with Jesus.
A conversation with Jesus. And
she's like, she was reciting Bible quotes or people from the Bible that she had no idea.
There's that clarity.
Yeah.
It's just like,
it just comes out.
So she's like describing what Jesus looked like, and Jesus was talking to her during her experience and telling her that she should take care of her family and all of this stuff. And then she, like Christina just said, she starts quoting Bible verses, and the mother's sitting there in the emergency room with her, and she's like, she doesn't know this. She doesn't know this. And she was literally quoting things straight out of the Bible. We had a guy who did a treatment at our facility one time, and like, he was like a good old boy, you know what I'm saying? And he started speaking in Hebrew during his treatment.
He was not Jewish.
No. And so like this stuff is making, and see, here's the crazy part. During this treatment where this little girl is having this Jesus experience, that video has 1.5 million views, and everybody in that room, they were like, it's a miracle. It's a miracle. She's with Jesus, right? And the thing is that, but when I tell people that we're having people have those same experiences at our clinic, they're like, oh, well, they're taking drugs.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, it would be something like that when you're talking about what it puts in you. I almost, after ketamine, and I'm not stuttering, it's actually helping me think through my process of talking, like right now. It's like putting Siri in your head. If that makes sense. Yeah. So I don't have to look for as much information. Before this, it was old school encyclopedias. Now I've actually got Siri that I can go to any point in my life and just say, hey, I need to know about this. And and all of a sudden, boom, going to show me a way to get where I got to go.
Universal Wi-Fi to the pineal.
It's already up here. I don't even need my phone. It's here.
Yeah,
it's
man. No, it's like, so like.
And it like clears out the clutter.
That's it. It clears the clutter away. And then all of the answers, like God is trying to give us all of the answers all of the time. And we're too caught up in our thoughts. We're overthinkers. We're not getting into these meditative states.
Get in our own way.
People talk about when people pray, they're speaking to God. When people meditate, God speaks to them. And that's what's happening. It's like it's shutting down all of the chatter, all of the clutter, and it's literally opening up a direct line of communication with the divine, man. And see, I think that like that's the way I look at this. It's doing that to the brain what we can't do for ourselves sometimes by getting into these deep transcendental meditative states where we can shut everything down.
I think this show is a really good time to launch our new podcast, Conversations with God.
Conversation.
Yeah.
I'm all in.
Yeah. That's another. So Christina was like, we need to do a show called Conversations with God because people like look at your experience. It was same thing with my experience. We had a piece of content go out yesterday, and it was basically about like me not taking the leap of faith with Christina, but not giving up and not veering my faith that this is what I was supposed to do because God told me that it was what I was supposed to do. And see, when you tell people that, they think you're nuts, or else it makes them very uncomfortable, or like this guy's unhinged, he's talking to God on psychedelics or whatever. But the truth is that it was the realest thing that had ever happened to me before. And I was like, I don't believe this is going to work. I know this is going to work because God told me it's going to work. And so like there was nothing that anybody could say to me that was going to veer my confidence in what we were doing, because God told me. And like, that wasn't just like something I believed. I knew it really happened. And now look, here we are, and we're helping heal people just the way that God told me that it was going to happen. And so it's like, we want to get a show where everybody that has these experiences to sit down and talk about all of this, because when you have one or two people saying it, it sounds like, oh, maybe. But then when you have an entire show of people having these same experiences, and then Katie from Revitalist, you know, she another woman who's in our industry, she took mushrooms during a ceremony, and she's like healing people with ketamine also now, right? And so the thing is that God told her that she was going to help heal the world with psychedelics. It's this reoccurring thing that keeps happening over and over again. And it's funny because all of the people that seem to be getting this message are all being drawn to each other, and we're like all becoming this network of people that had these God experiences, conversations with God that are going to end up healing the world with psychedelics.
It's going to eventually be there. And I look at it this way. You just get out of the way, because it's going to happen. Now that we know what we know, just get out of the way. We don't have to force this to happen.
Yeah.
It's when you get life-changing experience like this, the consequence of me worrying about what anybody thinks about what I did, how I did, first of all, I was never that person to begin with, but now I'm really not, because alls I know is, again, it's that you can't get a taste of how I feel, but if you did, you would know. So it's really just a leap of faith. But I also know this, God's also going to bring everybody here that's supposed to be here. He's not going to bring somebody here that's not supposed to be here.
No.
That I do know. And again, biblically, you've got to hit rock bottom. A lot of people are stubborn. We're stubborn in this world.
Yeah.
And you end up hitting it. Me, I was searching. It just so happened to be the right avenue for me, which is the right avenue for everybody. But I was on such a journey of what is going to help. And I also knew other people, the same thing. I'm on top of it. You always think, holy cow, what can this do for so-and-so? And it's just going to lead there. Like I said, I've got a few people that I've already told. I didn't have to tell them. They see me.
Yeah.
And they're like, what did you do? I want to do what you did, because I want to have what you have. Yeah. And again, it's just principles. Do what you do. If I want what you got, I got to do everything you got. If I want to run this clinic, I'm going to follow you. I'm going to figure out what you do, and I will run this clinic. So you just do what you do. But again, it takes all of that anxiety of, is this going to work? Is gone now. It's just when.
Yeah.
I've
You just got to show up.
I don't even is anymore. I'm all when. It's no more is.
You know, it's funny that you talked about it, because like when what you just spoke about this, where like when I would have a very profound breakthrough experience, I'd be coming out of it, and like in my head, I'm like, my mom needs to do this. This person needs to do this. I know this could help this person. And then what my problem was is like, I would always go run to those people and be like, listen, you need to do this. I've got this thing. And
Crushes it.
And it didn't work. But see, it was more like,
yeah, get away from me.
Yeah, it was pushing it away. But the way that we do spread this out into the universe is we embody the healed version of ourselves. And then the people that are supposed to do it, it's like Dr. Ferber talks about, it's this energetic attraction where they see something in you and they're like, you've changed. Wait, what are you doing? Because like whatever you got, this is what I need to be doing. And then that's
going to lead me into the greatest benefit of this for me. And it's going to be kind of funny. It also sheds things from you.
Yes.
And the most beautiful thing I get from this, and again, you don't have to work at it. You don't have to figure out why. Why is gone too. It just is, right? We got rid of is, we're in when. It's just gone. Bring everything to me. We can handle it, because I don't have to go through the motions of if and when this will work. It just is.
Yeah.
Things happen. So getting into what the shedding part, how do I say, the toxic people in your life that you have to hold on to for whatever reason, you find yourself distancing from that. And in easy ways where it's not to hurt somebody's feeling, but you end up backing out. And I've since got 4 to 6 new people in my life that are walking the same path as me, and I don't know where they came from. They're just in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad they're in my life, but I don't know where they came from.
You changed realities.
Mm-hmm. In that the vibes and the aura.
Mm-hmm.
So the first time I felt that, again, believed in it all. Going back to the hippie stuff, Dr. Ferber, man, incredible. To see him, did you say he was 91?
No, 89.
Pretty close.
Yeah, don't
Yeah.
age him.
Yeah.
I don't think he cares. He's in better shape than me.
I know. It's
You kidding me?
amazing.
He's super flexible. He can touch his toes.
Oh.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So, but that's the first time I felt that. When I was sitting in there before we did the treatments, I felt better leaving here, just meeting him.
So you ready for this?
Just meeting him.
Ketamine makes you comfortable with shining your light in any situation. Where like I used to be a chameleon. So I might be at one place, but then I would go around people that were at a lower vibration or that weren't shining their light because they had things that they needed to heal through. So I would lower myself to that situation so I could blend into that situation, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like I was this chameleon that was always bouncing around different people where I would put myself on the level of where it felt comfortable for everybody. The thing is now is that I'm proud to shine my light everywhere at all times. And what'll end up happening is that the demons that people still have that they need to shed off or they need to heal through can't be around that light. And so all of a sudden it makes people's demons uncomfortable to be around that light, and they'll start to like vibrate out of the equation. It's like I'm living my true authentic self, being my true authentic self and living in the light now. And I really think that that's one thing that psychedelic medicines did for me also, is that it made me comfortable in being my authentic self.
100%. 100%. And I think everybody's reaction to it, that's always a good thing in this setting. I still can't get over that people, I heard you on the phone, people are sending people home with this stuff.
Yeah.
Like you can just do it at home.
Yeah.
That's a terrible idea.
Yes, it is.
So hopefully that gets fixed and rectified on that end. But some of the things that, like I said, how people react, like if you remember that movie Young Guns, remember they did mushrooms, right? When they were caught. I don't know if you all saw it, but in that movie, they're trying to figure out a way. And guess who's the only one? You know, when Estevez is done, he took that and he did it for the right, like he was on a search. Everybody else was just like partying.
Yeah.
And, you know, did you see that shooting guns and doing everything else? But that focus, I actually focused on that after my fourth one. I'm like, okay, so now I get it. This is showing you a path. It is showing you the way. Because that's what it is. It's almost like giving you a preview of your next 10 or 15 years, if you so choose, right? Because we could also go back, if I'm also not doing breath work, meditation and everything else, I'm just going to slide back into my old self.
Yeah.
So it's the eye-openingness of this that changes your life, that you want to change your life for the better. You want to journal and meditate because you feel how good it makes you feel. That's the thing. So it's not just the change of what it does to you. It's the long-lasting effect like we were talking about. You haven't done it in years. I didn't even see a need to do my last 3. All it did was enhance. So now I get it. And if I ran across a problem, say 2 or 3 years from now, I could see coming in and getting a treatment because I want to cross this off of my books. If I'm stuck? That stuck thing, you know what I mean? Boom, you could come in. Do I see that? No, because every 2 to 3 weeks, something else better is happening to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't imagine what a year from now is going to be like.
Yep.
I mean, I'm getting more clarity. I'm getting emptier. I'm getting lighter. I'm getting more loving, more kind. And that's really what it is. God is love.
Yes.
God is love. God is love. God is love. How are you going to, doesn't matter. God is love. If you're loving people, you're good. That's a lot of where I'm at now.
Well, and I think it's really important that you're applying all of this to your life. We see a lot of people that are just, they go through this, they see through the veil and then they close it right back up. But when you continue to apply these things that you've learned, apply the healthier lifestyle changes, then that's when your life really starts to transform. And that's when the long-term healing, I feel, really sticks and happens.
Yeah.
100%. I think the after work is just
as important.
If not more.
If nothing changes, nothing changes, man.
That's right.
You know?
That's right.
So if you were going to give a message out there to like people that were considering doing this or were scared of doing it and kind of like doing their research and are on the fence, what would you say to those kind of people?
Well, I haven't done enough research on the end that you do, so I would definitely leave that to you. But on my end, there's certainly, if there's no, I can't imagine a repercussion happening, a bad thing happening with it. So I would just tell people, actually, I don't even really have to tell them. It's normally this. If you're in a spot where your life is that bad, it's not going to change if you don't change. If it's not going to be this, do something.
Yeah.
But do make a change, because you're only going to stay where you're at unless that happens. For me, for somebody to come in and do this, again, it's touching that box and you're going to be healed. I don't know how to tell them what it is. All I know is I feel like it's just everything is connecting. Like you said that, I feel like when you're in there, everything is so bright and lit up. But you have, it's the clarity for everything. I mean, I had ADHD stuff that I didn't know I had. Yeah, and I call it this. You go to the fridge, if you're on the couch, you go to the fridge and you're like, oh, I'm gonna go back to the couch because I don't remember what I got up for. That thing, that's gone. I didn't count on that. Yeah. I didn't count on road rage going away. I go 45 miles an hour in a 50 now. That's never happened. I mean, I would go 75 in a 50. You know what I mean? Trying to get somewhere that I'm already 15 minutes ahead of time. I don't need to be there quicker.
Yeah, you're always
ahead of me, and I don't want you ahead of me. One of those. So it literally, every couple of weeks, something else happens. And the energy level, like I said, I came in for sleep, but I absolutely would tell people, well, I'm going to be. That's the first thing I would tell people. What do you know, if they ever ask me what's going on, first thing I'm going to tell them is, dude, look, it's research ketamine, go in and get it done.
Yeah.
If you want to start a new complete life and a successful life, go do it.
Yeah.
Is it the only thing? Are there people that don't need it? Maybe so, but I would think, I mean, researching Elon, he's doing, I get it. He's doing it because it's bringing him more ideas.
Yeah.
So that was the other thing too. That was that's what led me to the beginning part of when I wanted to do it. Because I was like, well, if he's doing it, and he's basically, I call him the smartest dude alive. So if he's doing it, that's what made me really start researching it.
Yesterday, we were in a meeting with a friend of mine, and he actually did treatments. He's a friend of ours, and he did treatments, and he had an exit for almost $300 million. And he was retiring in his early 40s, and he's like, I'm done, and he did the treatments. And it turned him into like a full-fledged entrepreneur again. He's like, we're talking to him on a Zoom call yesterday. He's like, yeah, I've got 4 companies I've started right now. And like all of them, he's going to have exits over 100 million plus from. And it literally, like this guy was retrieving, information from the ethers and journaling it down and starting new companies because of the treatments. And so it's like, for the entrepreneurs out there that might have a blockage or need to get in flow state, or they're stuck or whatever.
I love stuck. Stuck works for everybody.
100%, man.
Stuck.
This stuff is like, it gets a bad rap sometimes, and it's like, hey, this medication you might meet God. You might have a burning bush experience. It's going to do neurological.
You're not going to have sheep come here for sure. Sheep aren't coming here. No. And I'm being serious. Again, you may or may not want me on podcast. I'm not the most politically correct person, but I certainly don't do anything to hurt anybody's feelings. But I do know this: we're going to reach out to the people that are in need and want some help, and we're going to help the ones that want to help themselves.
Well, the seekers,
we can't help people that don't want to help themselves.
No.
There's no way you can do it.
For the seekers and the people that are on their spiritual paths, I mean, like, I think that this is going to propel you forward exponentially faster and give you clarity on the questions that you're trying to ask.
Yeah, there's multiple reasons. That's the flip side to this is, even if you're not at rock bottom, let's say you're like your buddy and you're just stuck and you're like, man, I've been doing this for 7 years. My buddy just did this and he's been doing the same business as me and he's doing 3 times the amount of work. Jump in. Come in and do this. It'll just enhance what you do. It's going to get rid of your clutter. You're going to work more efficiently. You're going to find 3 to 4 hours a day that you never had before, but you'll find it. It just enhances everything. There's no reason for anybody not to do this, ever. And the cool thing is it's not something you do every month. You do it and you're done.
Yeah.
You're talking 4 or 5 years ago. I look at it when I just went to church. I actually just posted this video, but I went to church. And it was one of those things this last Sunday where And I was pumped. I was ready to go. The worship's what it gets me now. Now that where I'm at, the worship is my favorite part. I just go there and cry, and I felt nothing, and nothing was there. Went through 45 minutes of that. And I'm like, seeking, how you do. It's like, what are you giving me, God? What are you giving me? Nothing. Whole message, nothing in it. And then at the very end, the guy said, last 2 minutes talking about a story, that we are all on our own. We're in our own story. You're at a different part of your story than I am. So my life is going good right now, but you can't count everything out because your life might not be going what you want. You're early in the story. Let's keep moving along. And that was such a cool thing to me to notice that at that point, I don't care about destination anymore. One, I'm older. There's only so many destinations you can go to. I'm just literally here to enjoy the journey. I want more work, which creates more business, not for the money, for the helping of the people. So my whole agenda now is serving people.
Yeah.
I may own a business and I'll do it. And actually Randy will know, my GM will know. He runs the business. But I'm here to serve people. And God just showed me a perfect way to do it. He's enhancing me. I'm just walking. I'm acting on what he's showing me. I'm not just sitting back. And I absolutely love it. I don't have to worry about money. Again, not an arrogant ego thing. I don't have to worry about money coming in because if you do the right thing happens to you. We know that now. That's the clarity you get out of there. You literally don't care and don't have that fear of, am I going to pay my bills? Are they going to get done this week? No, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
When he says, in the Bible, when it says, if he's taking care of the birds, how much more than you? I don't understand that, but I do now. I never did. So it's just opening all the windows up. There's absolutely nobody that shouldn't do this. At least one session.
We're here to experience the experience of life and enjoy the journey because it's all about the journey and not the destination. I really feel that to its core.
How many people you think believe that?
I didn't before.
Right.
But I do
That's
now.
my point. And it is the journey. And you're like, well, why would you want to, like, if I were talking to my son, I'd be like, why would you want to just keep doing the work, Dad? You end up missing it. When you can't do certain things, you want to do those things. So you miss
That's why Charles can't go on vacation.
it. See?
I have a hard time breaking free from what we do because listen, there's this Dirty Head song and it goes, hey, 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 I'm on vacation every single day because I love my occupation. And it's
right.
like, that's my life. Like, I love what I do, man. This is fun for me. This is playtime. I've been wanting to do something
Except
like
for when
this.
Facebook doesn't run our ads for 6 weeks.
For sure. And then it's just like making you stronger, making that connection and that faith of God even stronger. And then all of a sudden the miracle arrives and you're like, I knew you had me.
Well, and that's one of the things we talked about too, like I was saying, looking around, and that's where I'm different now. I don't take man's idea of God or religion anymore. I don't take that. I grew up Catholic too. Then and I go to a church that makes me feel good, that I get fed. And then also I can feed people back that have the same kind of things. But I'm not looking, when I first came in, I'm like, am I going to go Buddhist? Am I going to be a Muslim? Am I going to do this? Am I going to do that? Because you're like, it's all this. And you don't realize that it's all one. It doesn't matter what that statue looks like. It doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter if we have a cross on the wall. God is God. God is love. You're going to meet him.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to love it. You're not going to want to get out. When you said at the end, I didn't want to leave those chairs. That feeling, you love your friends, you love your spouse, you love your kids. They're all different levels. God's love is so much heavier than that. You know it instantly. So to feel that kind of love, I just want to strive and do that.
I love it.
It makes you just want to be kind, do the next right thing.
I love it.
Amazing.
Well, this was an amazing
Good one.
episode of the podcast today. And I guess we'll close it out with,
And if nobody's told you that they love you lately,
we do.
We
have
do.
a blessed day, everyone.
Everybody.